Out of all the movements I've studied in my first year at SAIC, I consider conceptualism to be the one that has the most direct impact on my practice. Born in the 1960s, the conceptualist movement sought to move away from the art object, so to speak, and focus more on the theory and ideas behind the artworks. Art became a vehicle for language and was often accompanied by written documents or video documentation to add depth to the dialogue being created. One of the most iconic pieces from this movement is Joseph Kosuth's One and Three Chairs, including a manufactured wooden folding chair, a photo of same said chair, and a blown up excerpt from the dictionary definition of the word chair. From the title, we can see that Kosuth is playing with the idea of multiplicities. There's the manufactured physical chair, the art or photography piece of a chair, and then the literal meaning of the word chair. The interaction of these ideas is what makes the art piece, and Kosuth's philosophical or intellectual background is pretty apparent. Learning about Mère d'Artiste, or artist shit, was when conceptualism sort of clicked for me. Made in 1961 by Pier Domanzoni, the actual contents of the tins is unknown, with some claiming that they are full of plaster instead of actual feces. This brought about a real discussion about authenticity in my sculpture class. I was of the stance that if it wasn't real feces, the value of the artwork was subtracted from, but my professor kept pushing the idea that such detail didn't matter. I was kind of shocked because up until this point I thought that art was essentially about the art object itself. This is where Mère d'Artiste as a conceptual artwork really shines. The commentary on the value placed on objects artists produce is well done and very worthwhile when considering the role of art in society. I mentioned before that any conceptual basis for my artworks before SAIC were afterthoughts. Here's a selection of some of my favorite works from high school. I had very little intention when I was making these pieces, which is why their meanings in iconography became a bit confused. I had people understanding my political views because I was more focused on making things I thought looked interesting rather than considering their larger context in society. I consider my current granite sculpture the culmination of my education so far. I began with the intent to create a meta piece that sparked dialogue about the nature of the artwork itself. The iconography included was carefully selected for their meanings and correlate with the overall piece's meaning, as well as the chosen material. I'm not sure how clear this is from the photos included, but I personally feel very satisfied with the conceptual side of it. I may just be patting myself on the back, but the hours of research and planning beforehand was a total change of pace, and the conceptual movement was an obvious and clear inspiration in my head. I wrote in my essay that I thought art in a post COVID-19 world should serve a therapeutic purpose, citing Lydia Clark's Vichos. While Vichos has a clear conceptual side to it, the focus is more on the interactive element than any intellectual conversation. I'm not sure what role heavily conceptual art should have in this deeply scarred society. The nature of the artwork is more in question now than ever, and there's always space for discussion about it. With the recent NFT craze and digital and social mediums becoming ever more present and centric to society, I definitely see a role for conceptual art. I just don't trust any prediction of the future of art that I would make myself.